What's up, everybody? Just throwing together a whole bunch of extra footage I had from this month. We had a pretty good month. Had a little bit of dry weather finally. So, I mean, a lot of it's you're gonna recognize from other videos, but I enjoyed it, so I figure I'll throw it in here. Trying out that helium in the front tire that Everride always talks about. It works pretty good. Zach's got a nice little circuit pinned out here. He's been running all day. See that tree to the right? I want to hop that so bad. I'm just a little apprehensive about it. It's almost, I don't know, between 2.5 and 3 feet around, and I don't know. I've never hopped anything that big. But now that I got the skid plate, all I got to do is, gather up the courage to find out if I can actually do it without endoing over the front bars or anything like that. I'm sure the skid plate will, protect the frame and bottom of the motor just fine. Just haven't done it. There's another one at our other riding spot. I always wheelie up the hill, and I really want to just, wheelie up the hill and just try and hop that log, but it's big. It's probably good 36 inches around. But it would be neat. This is the hill that I talked about in my last video that I busted my fairing on. First time me and Zach rode together, we came over here and it was muddy, and we really didn't ride this area too much. Actually, not at all. Last summer, it was pretty much just that one time, and it's the first time we've been back. But it's actually a nice little spot. There's like 5 or 6 good hill climbs. This one threw me off balance almost every single time. It pushes you toward that big tree, but it's a good climb. There's lots of log hops over here. Very rooty, but a lot of fun. Had a bunch of still shots with Zach. Sorry about the camera noise. Handling the camera just makes all kind of noise. Looks like people party here or just hang out, have a good time. There's not a lot of trash, so I imagine it's good, upstanding people just having a good time. We've got 2 new guys this month. Just bought CRF250L'S. You'll probably see them on the channel next couple weeks. So I know the one guy rode with us this past weekend. He did really good. I think he went down in the big mud puddle in the last video. But other than that, I mean, he ran the stock tires and got pretty darn good traction with them. I bought my bike April last year, and it had 570 miles on it, and still had the stock tires, but I guess they weren't wore out or anything, but the edges of the treads weren't as sharp. You could tell, they were wore in pretty good, and it was pretty wet last April, and I just remember everywhere I went, the front end was washing out from underneath of me. So first thing I did was go get tires. The last 2 guys with new CRFs that we rode with really did well with their stock tires, and I mean, they look the same as my IRCs except for they're fresh. And Zach, he bought his bike with some I don't know, I think they're MT-09s, I can't remember, but like this new tire that I got on here, this bank is as high as the handlebars. I mean, it's a good 4 feet, and the bike just climbs right up it, you know. I love that tire setup. Definitely gives me a lot more confidence to do things that I'd be apprehensive in doing, you know. I mean, I was just looking at that and I said, I bet you I can get up that, and there it is. I didn't even let any real pressure out of the tire yet, and it did real well. This was a nice little woods hill climb. It's kind of technical, just, you know, gotta shoot back and forth and stay out of the ruts. I mean, roots, I'm sorry. There's a lot of steep faces from the roots and the runoff, but it was pretty neat. Just goes up to an old abandoned, I don't know what it is, office or house or something in the woods. They got no walls left on it. This is the same hill just going down. Let me know if you guys actually, if it's, you know, too much showing, you know, different camera views of the same exact thing. I usually have 3 cameras going. I got a helmet cam, a tail cam, and a front cam underneath of my headlight running. Generally just so I don't miss anything. You know, I mean, if one of us goes down behind me, or, you know, like the snake thing. I never saw the snake last week. You know, I really felt bad because I think I ran it over, but it was like, you know, I was able to go through the footage and look back at it, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, and made for a pretty funny video. But I generally have 5 cameras. I've got 2 of my original cameras. They're just GoPro 3 Hero Pluses, the black ones. I'm sorry, not black, but Hero Plus Black, whatever they are. I don't know. And the other 2 cameras I run are GoPro 7 Blacks. I love them cameras. They work very well. I run them in a hard case. And I've also got a GoPro Hero 7 White that I run in a hard case usually. That's usually my helmet camera. I think at the moment I'm running one of the 3s on my helmet, but I'm just doing that to conserve battery and trying not to run more than 3 cameras at a time. That's one of the new guys with his stock tires out in 6-inch deep clay. And I didn't flip backwards here. For some reason when I edited film, it cut a part out because of the way that I cut it. But yeah, I wasn't choked up at all in the bars when I took off for that hill. It wasn't very tall, but it's kind of steep in the middle. I thought this was neat. Had a bunch of like telephone pole diameter logs everywhere. I was hopping over them. This is like the paintball factory. These guys, you can see they've got all kinds of opticals and cover, you know, made out of pallets and stuff like that for paintballing. Looks like they have a good time back here. I focused on this one little climb here. It's pretty neat. This place has got a pretty good variety of, you know, hills and trails and all that good stuff. It's nice, but it's pretty small. You get bored in about an hour and a half, something like that. Especially the more we go there, it'll probably take less and less time. But there's lots of little obstacles and things that you can, you know, find yourself, you know, just learning on technical stuff. I'm actually thinking about going back there solo one day and just looking for some new hills and things that, you know, we can make out of nothing, because there's definitely a lot of potential, considering, you know, some of our riding spots are dropping like flies lately, you know. But yeah, this little spot, it's just leading us back to where we just were, a little paintball section. This just leads up to a little oval track. It's pretty small. Just pretty much ride around in circles. You know. Yeah, the camera's kind of off angle a little bit here, but this is actually a pretty steep little hill. Not very tall, but you know, it's neat. You'll see this guy go up it on the DRZ400. He tractors right up it pretty good. He's running D606s and seems to do really well in the mud and everything. I think I've ridden with him 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he got himself a nice little wheelie over that puddle. Yeah, this puddle here really throws you to the left. It's like it's got a hook in it. I don't know if there's logs underneath the water, but it almost took me out. Yeah, it grabbed him just like it did me. You know, just feels like it's just pulling the bike hard to the left. But he ended up alright. Didn't hurt the bike or anything. Fortunately, I didn't spray him there. It's a wonder I didn't. Looks like he would have been covered. Fortunately, he was okay. I think Zach was smart enough to go around this one. This is a nice little section. You can really get some good momentum coming through here. I really didn't this time, but it's a nice trail section. Usually just keep sweeping back and forth. Yeah, this is the latter part of the day. We have probably been riding for about 6 hours or so at this point. So we're all a little tired out.
We're just gonna have to go up and around.
Nonsense. I probably could have just log hopped this and it would have broke. The termites ate this tree out so bad that just after the first time I went through it, it pretty much ripped the tree off of the stump. So it wasn't bad at all. We just kind of rode around it after that. You can see it's just rotted really bad. This place has a lot of problems with termites in the forest.
Just hit it. Yeah. You're good.
I still haven't done the hard case on the back of my bike. I was thinking about grabbing a bigger case from Harbor Freight. Wanted to do Best Buy, but it's looking like the larger case from Best Buy is like $230, and that's I'm not interested in spending that kind of money on a case that's just gonna get covered in mud, because I don't shy away from mud puddles, obviously, and I just like to keep my cameras and stuff in there, and just have to be careful on how everything's packed in there, because I've found, like my brand new tough tire gauge, it shook up against something and just scratched the shield of the gauge up pretty terrible. Done the same thing with my riding glasses. I ruined the $50 set of riding glasses. So unfortunately, it's been goggle weather lately. Mid-Atlantic regions kind of dipped back into the 40s for April a little bit. 40s and 50s. There were sections back here that were like, you know, super nice and dry, and then all of a sudden it's just muddy, nasty. This place is always like that though. We never really gave it a break this winter, and it kind of got to the point where we just stopped riding there because it was so muddy. It's good to see it drying out a little bit though. Has a lot of deceiving mud holes though, where it's got, you know, cross ruts under the water that you can't see, so you kind of got to be careful and be choosy on what you decide to go through. If I'm not sure, generally I try and carry the front wheel across it, you know, that way at least I'm not going head first in it if I fall. This is probably the best ride we've had, I don't want to say of the year, but past 2 months. We're supposed to be in Hatfield McCoy right now. Unfortunately, everything's closed down for the COVID-19. But to be honest, the weather's really not that great here, and I imagine it's not much better down there. So they're about 8 hours from us. But we'll just have to wait it out, see what happens. I don't know, maybe we'll do a camping trip up at Anthracite Outdoor later on this year. Maybe go down to the Coal Hills and have some fun once everybody gets tires on their bikes. And skid plates. That place has definitely got rocks for days. So you new CRF guys that are going to be riding with us, if you want to come, get some protection underneath the bikes, because you're going to need it. We had a whole bunch of traffic coming up behind us. We went ahead and let them pass. It was about 20 people. About half of them got by, and then this guy got stuck. So we just went ahead and kept on getting it once Zach caught up. Can't see it, but I'm actually tucked up right behind a guy on a big four-wheel drive four-wheeler, and he is just cutting through the trails nice and smooth. Every time he goes through one of the big mud puddles, he splashes all the water out of it, and I can see exactly where I need to go. So them guys, they kind of missed it. Guy on the DRZ, he's like, I'm gonna blow through it real quick, you know, once all these people pass. But the other bunch of four-wheelers, and I think after like the 5th or 6th one, the 450L comes through and blasts a nice wheelie by me. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty good mud hole. See him go through there. It's well over his axle. Zach, he's going to go around. He's actually having some issues with his clutch later in the day. Ended up bending one of his bark busters, you'll see in a couple minutes. But it was slightly bent in the morning, and I think he finishes it off in the next couple minutes. But he got it all good and repaired. He had to heat it up and bend it back. that mud hole has roots going every which way. You just kind of got to keep the front end light and just skip over them, because that mud puddle will definitely take you down. We have a little traffic ahead of us at the moment. Catching back up with all the four-wheelers. I need to stop doing that, because I'm twisting around backwards, holding onto the throttle, wiping the camera off. It's like below my tail light, and eventually I'm going to end up like Zach there and bust my ass just for wiping my camera off. But I didn't realize that I lost them until I got down here, and I was like, oh, so I just spun around. I actually found an easier trail that led right back to him. Looked like he got broncoed a little bit here when he hopped this log. Looks like the seat kind of hit him in the ass and kicked him up a little, and he went straight for that tree. And I think the best thing for him was to go down. I had no idea that he even had crashed, but that's all I got. See you guys next week.